Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Red Devils Disciples. It is the post-match with the pre-match earlier this morning. Post-match, Manchester United versus Everton. We spoke about how it was an important game. We spoke about how we needed to win the game and what we kind of wanted to see. And let's analyse what we got. So it was 6th place Man United versus 16th place Everton, but we discussed that obviously Everton had 10 points deducted, they've had 4 returns, and obviously they'd be much higher up in the league if those points hadn't been deducted, and they'd be quite safe in the Premier League, to be honest, so it's misleading a little bit. Obviously, big game tomorrow for us in terms of it's Villa v Spurs. Currently, well, with the win today, we are now 8 points behind Villa, 3 points behind Spurs. Spurs have a game in hand, though. Well, they now both have a game in hand. Spurs have 2 because of the game tomorrow. So the game tomorrow, if it ends in a draw, happy days for us. Worst case scenario, I think I'm siding on the Villa winning the game, which means that it'll make it harder for us to catch Villa. But it makes that 5th place spot open so we can get into, and there's a high possibility that'll be good enough for the Champions League this year. And quite frankly, we just need to get into the Champions League to make sure that the signings in the summer are of that calibre. Where do we go from here? Right, so first off, I mean, we started, let's be honest, nervy first 10 minutes, wasn't it? It could have gone either way. I would say we were even slightly on the back foot in the first 10 minutes. But, from there, great interception from Evans, so I'm going to give him the shout out for this. Quick ball forward, and kind of like gets the ball forward out to Rashford. Garnacho makes a great run. Garnacho gets overlaps into the left wing, so Rashford can give him the ball. Does his usual trickery, gets brought down. Penalty. Bruno Fernandes scores 1-0. Nerves calm down. And then from that point, Garnacho just looked really dangerous throughout the game. He didn't look like he was... he looked like he was a threat at all times and looked like he was going to score goals, looked like he was going to set up things, and it was kind of a weird situation up front because... I say weird. I said it's probably what we would have wanted. Although Bruno was playing as a striker, we almost had Bruno, McTominay, and even Garnacho and Rashford got involved, sort of rotating at times. But especially it was Bruno and McTominay sort of rotated because Bruno would go out to the right, McTominay steps into the striker role. And I actually feel like McTominay is much more effective up there than he is in midfield. And it was good to see today. I actually thought he had a decent impact on the game, McTominay, today, which, it's normally we say he scores or he ghosts, right? There's no in between with him. But at around the 34th minute, Garnacho got the ball on the right wing, cut inside, dribble past, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 players got brought down by the 5th player. And it almost looked like everyone was nervous to tackle him, everyone was nervous to stick a leg in because he's just so tricky, and at the same time, it looked like he was just coasting past everybody. Was then brought down. Bruno doing captain type things, picks up the ball to take a second penalty of the game. Actually hands it to Rashford. Rashford shoots. Rashford scores. Not much Pickford could have done at that point. I think it was one of those situations where, I think Pickford would be quite happy with the fact that it wasn't more than 2-0 today, and it's not even like. It should have been many more. We could have had 3 or 4 though. But yeah, Rashford steps up 2-0. Just before the half, a big shout out to Varane though. Had a great block. Literally at the stroke of half time, we kept it at 2-0, which I thought was absolutely vital for us. And if you look at half time, possession wise, we had the majority of possession, just 53%. Is what we had, 53.3. We had 9 shots on target, 9 shots, 5 of them on target, so it's a high percentage of shots on target, which is great. But Everton did have more choices than us, more chances than us, should I say, with 11 shots, but they only got 2 on target. But that kind of tells you the story of today's game. In the second half, McTominay, again, with a great block from another shot similar to Varane in the first half, which I think if those are on target, they're goals. And that right there is the game, and all of a sudden we're in a draw. Garnacho still looked dangerous in the second half. He looked like he was going to score. He had a chance down the right one where he smacked it right over the bar. He had a few chances where he could have done a little better. He had a hesitation on the counter, and instead of playing Rashford in or taking the shot, he sort of didn't do any and then just fizzled away. but both chances created a couple of chances in the second half. Both teams, created a couple of chances in the second half. There's one that stands out from United, which was what's it called? Corner was taken. Lindelof went for it, missed it. Then it bounced and sort of ricocheted off everyone. Then simple toe poke would have put it in the back of the net. Lindelof missed it. Evans missed it. I think McTominay went to shoot and then crashed into Evans. And then eventually someone got a toe on it. And it just rolled past everyone. It just hit Pickford on the foot. Should really have been 3-0 at that point. It should really have killed the game off. And then Everton grew into the game. They were trying to press a little bit higher. But never really looked like they were going to get back into the game, which was, story of today pretty much, which is job done for us, right? At the end of the game, we had 15 shots with 8 on target. Everton had 23 shots to our 15, but they only got 6 on target to their 8 to our 8 on target. I think that's kind of Everton's story of the season, though. They tend to do well, but they just can't score at the moment. And also flip it, it's also our story of the season, which is quite concerning. We tend to get up a lot of shots against opponents. However, even with that happening, we're still winning games. I think we did force a lot of awkward shots from Everton, from outside the box, and we were a bit more picky with the shots that we were taking. We got a lot of offsides today, which could have been big chances. If we just time our runs a little bit better, we'll have a few more one-on-ones with the keeper. Moving on to the team selection. So this is the team that I said I was going to go with, which was obviously Onana there. I said I would start Anthony today. Slight changes for Erik ten Hag. And he actually went with a team similar to what I said a few weeks ago I would go with. Same backline, same goalkeeper as myself, same midfield. The difference was, instead of Anthony, he started McTominay, and McTominay played in the... He was in number 10, but him and Bruno kept interchanging, which actually worked pretty well today. And I think actually made us more effective, to be honest, because Bruno then could change with Garnacho, could change with Rashford, and then I saw Rashford and Garnacho swapping around. It was good to see. In goal, obviously we had Onana, had a good game. Simple saves, nothing too much on it. The only thing I want to say about Onana is just dive, man. Like, he just stands there sometimes and watches the ball drift past the posts instead of diving and giving everything he has for the ball. I don't care if you think it's going wide. I don't care if you think it's going in the box. Standing still rooted to the floor means you're guaranteed you can't save it. If you at least attempt to go for the ball, maybe it's 1 out of 10 extra you'd get. Maybe it's 2 out of 10 extra you'd get. I don't know. But it's still more than 0. Standing still. So now I want to see you moving your feet a little bit more. At left back, obviously we had Lindelof. I've given him a 6.5. I gave Onana a 6.5 also, by the way. I thought he had a good solid game. He was, in that first half especially, he won a lot of 50-50s up in the air for us, and actually was quite crucial in keeping us sort of on the front foot at times. Thought he had a very solid game at left back, and then he switched to centre back towards the end of the game. When Evans came off. At right back we had Dalot, who played a decent game. I only gave him a 6 out of 10 though. I want to see more from him offensively. He's such a threat that it's a shame that we're not seeing it at the moment. He did switch to left back when Evans came off because Lindelof shifted into centre back. But I want to see more from him on the offensive side. In front of them, at centre back, I've got Johnny Evans, who I've given a 7.5 today out of 10. A solid game. Won loads of headers, some really good blocks, and more importantly, quick thinking in terms of forward passing. That first goal came from an interception from him and a quick forward pass to Rashford. He was subbed off for Kwambala, for Willie, at the 87th minute, and you could hear the crowd's appreciation with a standing ovation for him. And then alongside him we had Varane, again, some good blocks. Seems to play well with Evans. I've given him a 6. When he has the ball, he just doesn't look very comfortable. I want to see more, and let's be honest, it's probably too late in his career for that to change. But I suppose what I expect from a Man United centre-back isn't just the defensive side, it's being able to dribble the ball forward, being able to pass the ball out, And I don't feel like Varane has that in his locker at the moment. I don't know if he ever did, to be honest with you, but he was just a solid centre-back, which was expected of him at Madrid. But I want to see a bit more, And then in midfield we had Casemiro, who I've given a 6. Did his job. some good tackles, some good interceptions, some good headers. But then the flip side of Casemiro, gave the ball away quite a few times. He's trying to do these one-touch passes rather than do a simple pass. In his defence, a lot of those passes were fired into him by defenders, meaning that he just had to react and play it out. But I want to see a little bit more of composure with him on the ball. And I did at times feel he was a step behind everything that was going on. Almost like, again, similar theme to what we've been saying, he is that half a second too slow for this league, or at least against the top teams. Against a team like today, he got away with it. Didn't look out of place, didn't look like he'd done anything wrong. Against big teams, fast teams, a Liverpool, an Arsenal, he will struggle, and it almost feels like he's trying to do too much, whereas his role should probably be taken down a notch and then given some more responsibility to other midfielders. Doesn't help that in front of him he had a player that just doesn't really do defensive work, which was McTominay at the end of the day. At least not in terms of marking and tracking back. There were times today when McTominay did well defensively, like that block that we were talking about. Alongside him, it was Mainu. I also gave him a 6. He made some early mistakes today. Had the ball stripped from him once or twice. Then sort of, again, a couple wayward passes. But he slowly grew into the game to the point where we saw a bit of confidence come out. Some trickery with Rashford on the wing. Some trickery in centre mid. But I just want him to be consistent. I just want him to give me a solid 6, 6.5, 7 out of 10 every game. Someone that I can rely on. Someone who's going to be Mr. Consistent. And that's what we want from him. So, again, well done to Mainu. In front of them, they had Scotty. And I want to praise Scott McTominay in terms of offensively. He was interchanging with Bruno seamlessly. Played a little bit further forward today than he's been playing for us recently. And he looked like he was actually involved in the game today. I've given him a 6.5. Could have given him a 7 based on what he was doing. Because defensively he also had a couple of key moments, that key block that we saw, which stopped a goal from Everton at the end of the day. On the right wing, no, I was about to say on the left wing, we had Garnacho. What can I say other than this kid won us the game today? He won 2 penalties, had a few key chances, always looked like a threat when he had the ball. He's the one player that when he gets the ball, all fans just stand up and just start watching, pay complete attention to what he's doing. He just looks dangerous every time he has the ball. As he came off, got another standing ovation. For me, he's the man of the match today. And you can see that he's going to grow into an absolute beast of a player moving forward in the next few years. Hopefully he stays at United though. So you never know. With these young South American players, they always go to Barcelona, Madrid, don't they? But hopefully we can keep a hold of him and see what happens from there. On the opposite wing, or up front, at times, depending on when it was, we had Marcus. I've given him a 6.5. He scored the second penalty when Bruno gave it to him, but didn't really do much else. I saw him track back at one point, which was quite impressive for Marcus Rashford. But I want him involved in the game a little bit more. I want him getting at the end of the ball. I shouldn't rely on him scoring penalties. I want to see him sort of in open play impacting the game like he used to a couple of years ago. He'd get the ball and he'd be the one you'd be looking at and be excited to take on defenders, run at people. He seems to have lost that sort of knack of running at people and is almost looking for gaps instead of just, here's the ball, I'm faster than you, stop me. And I don't know if that's a mentality issue or if he's lost a step. I'm not sure, but I want to see more of that from Marcus. And then as our striker, today we had Bruno Fernandes, who I've given a 6.5. He did score a penalty, did rotate well with McTominay up there, did try to press, but unfortunately the press sort of seemed disconnected at times where half of the attacking line was pressing, half the attacking line wasn't, which meant that we left gaps in behind, but the front three did rotate seamlessly and sort of looked very fluid. I thought he had a good game, but he didn't really impact the game in any other way than scoring the penalty. In terms of opening teams up, and I want to see that from Bruno. He's supposed to be our creative player. I want to see him open teams up, and I'm just not seeing that at the moment from him. We've got Liverpool coming up, and we're going to need him to do that there, because Liverpool aren't going to be giving away cheap penalties like Everton did today, especially in the FA Cup. And then our subs were Amrabat, who came on for Mainu, didn't really do much. And then the other two, Willy Kwambala and Anthony, came on later in the game, but again didn't really impact the game too much. Didn't really have much to do. It was almost like a sort of muffled second half where not much happened. I predicted the game would be 3-0. I was wrong. Could have easily been 3-0, but I was wrong. Final score was 2-0. I said before the game that my focus points were to take control, be patient, be ruthless, because we need to start at some point converting and sort of controlling games. And what I saw today was, I did see patience, I did see us take control. It was a little bit boring at times because it just felt like we were just passing the ball around rather than trying to go for a third and kill the game off. But at the end of the day, that's job done. It's 2-0. Why are you going to push forward needlessly and leave yourself exposed at the back? So well done for the 3 points. Defensively, I said to be aware of those lone balls and counters. I thought our defensive line dealt with it really well today. We forced them to play with the ball at their feet rather than up in the air, which is what Sean Dyche's team like to do, long ball football. And I said not to get caught out on a counter with the ball over the top. I think there was one in the first half where a ball was played over the top and the guy struggled to get back for it. But ultimately, after that, I think we learned our lesson and sort of sat back a little more. It was more of a deep block than it was a high line today. And then play like it's a final. And I said, because if we lose, we're not getting Champions League football. Okay. And quite frankly, we did well enough to get the 3 points and get through and close the gap. Final thoughts. Garnacho won us the game today, let's be honest. Teams were pretty even. Everton were quite wasteful, which cost them. Our timing was a little bit off today. We kept getting offsides, kept misplacing passes, we kept doing things like that. It wasn't quite like we've seen where teams of the past that everything sort of clicks. We didn't quite look like we were going to score 5 or 6 today. We could have had 3, we could have had 4. Garnacho got away at one point. There was one where Anthony and was it Bruno, I'm not sure, sort of looked at each other and who was getting, and then just Pickford came out and smashed it away. It just seems a bit indecisive in what's going on at the moment. In the middle of the pitch, like I said, against better teams, we will struggle. I feel like Casemiro gets left alone a lot there, and he covers the role for some other players. Today, more specifically, Scott McTominay. I think whoever's playing that third midfielder role needs to step in and defend also, and I don't feel it was happening today. But the bottom line is we got all 3 points. We got a win. We closed the gap to the teams above us, especially because they're both playing each other tomorrow. So one of them has to drop points. So happy days for us. All I'm going to say is Viva Garnacho. Won us the game again. This kid is the real deal. And I cannot wait to be back here next week to see that Liverpool game. Especially because we're at Old Trafford. We'll see how it goes. But guys, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications, and I will speak to you soon. Peace.